Thank you all for being here tonight. This is a very impressive group of people, and I thank you for taking off your busy schedules to be here. I know you have a daunting proposition in front of you because you have to choose one of us to be your candidate. So it's very important that since a lot of us share a lot of the same principles, it's important for you to know what the differences are and what we all stand for. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gloria Carlineo. And I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, where I lived until I was 16 years of age. That year, my mother moved us to Tampa with my brother. I finished my high school, my senior year of high school there. And after graduation, I took some time off, saved some money, and went to college. I attended the University of Florida, and then I attended the University of Cincinnati, where I earned a law degree in 1992. Soon after graduating from law school, I decided I didn't want to really practice, so I went to Washington, D.C., and I worked for the governor of Puerto Rico in his Federal Affairs Office. A few years later, I went to Congress. I went to work for Congressman Dan Burton of Indiana, who was the chairman of the Government Reform Committee. And working in that position, particularly for a very influential member of Congress, gave me some great insight as to how Congress works and how it doesn't work. That experience, along with some of my work with national Republican organizations and Republican governors around the country, gave me some great insight that I wish to bring as I am your representative come November, or come January, really. We can all agree that this is a very critical time in our country's history. As a mom and as an American, I am concerned that if we don't act now, we may lose our country as we know it. And we'll have the Democrats take indefinite control of our destiny. Our country is weakened and is fractured, and the Democratic Party is taking advantage of that. They're reaping the benefits of that weakness. And they're appealing to those that would rather have a free lunch than a strong country. Yet we all know that there are no free lunches. And I know that those of you gathered here today are going to fight to preserve the country that we know. The political atmosphere today is much less sympathetic to career politicians that change their positions according to the political winds. No matter how much some of my opponents tries to avoid it, the fact remains that there is a record to explain, and no amount of money is going to be able to account for that and hide for that. As Ronald Reagan used to say, facts are stubborn things. While I would not support card check, I have an opponent that would. And not only that, but he actually supported it. He co-sponsored the card check legislation, and he's featured in the AFL-CIO website doing so. While I would never put the interests of big labor bosses ahead of the private sector through regulations such as the Davis-Bacon Act, my opponent would strongly support it. He even demanded that President Bush enacted for the cleanup in Katrina. This is probably why he has received some more than about $100,000 of labor money back in 05 and 06. Labor money that also went to help Obama and Pelosi in the last election. While I would not support private sector crippling legislation such as cap and trade, during his one term in Congress, he did. And it was a cap and trade legislation that was sponsored by the ultra-liberal Congressman Harry Waxman. I know Harry Waxman. I would also support utilizing the resources that our country has in abundance, such as the natural gas and oil reserves, particularly when done in an environmentally safe manner. In contrast, during his one term in Congress, my opponent consistently opposed drilling and war. I also believe in earmark reform, and I do not support pork barrel spending. I take great pride in being the only person in this race who, as of today, has signed the Americans for Tax Reform No New Taxes Pledge. During his one term in office, my opponent consistently bragged about all the pork that he brought to Pennsylvania. He did so on his own website, which is probably the reason why he received a 37% rating from the Citizens Against Government Waste organization. Now, it is ironic also that they're bringing up the fact that Murphy got an F from the National Taxpayers Union. The truth of the matter is, he got a D. Now, as Thomas Jefferson once said, in matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. With me as your congresswoman, I can assure you that you will have a principled conservative that will stand up for the people of the 8th District and will always carry the values of Bucks County to Washington. But there's another compelling reason why I am here in this race. And that is because, as Republicans, we must make every effort to grow the base. We need to win again, and that's the only way we can do it. We can't simply go back to business as usual, always electing the same old players. We recycle the people, we recycle the problems. It is unfortunate that many in the Republican Party, I'm not just talking local, I'm also talking national, would rather lose protecting self-interest than win by renewing the leadership. This is one of the reasons why the Republican Party is almost certainly doomed to extinction. This is why so many Americans have grown sickened of the way the Republican Party does its business. This is why new generations of Americans willing to contribute to the party have been purposely left out. You probably heard yesterday, as Jeff mentioned before, President Obama's pleas for young people, women, and minorities to join him once again so they can win in November. Putting aside the debate as to the appropriateness of his comments, and let me assure you that I believe it's both unfortunate and inappropriate that our president would choose to use that kind of language to further divide us. The fact remains that this is how the Democratic Party seeks to remain in power for generations to come. The sad truth is that the Republican Party is losing those very constituencies that the Democratic Party is seeking to attract. And I am here to tell you that without the independents, without the young people, without the women, and without the minorities, the GOP will render itself irrelevant in the next few years. During the 2008 election, for example, the GOP lost 13% of the previous year's female vote. They only got 37%. We lost what little black vote we had. And when it came to Hispanics, we got about 31%, down from 44% in the elections before that. Why is this a problem? Well, with respect to the Hispanic community, for example, it is the largest minority in the United States and is growing by leaps and bounds. For the 2008 election, for example, half of all the new voter registrations in the United States were Hispanic. We don't know where those went. Out of the 5,700 Hispanic elected officials, you know how many are actually Republican? 113. And I know this because I, along with some of the people here in this room, attended a briefing last Friday with the RNC chairman, Michael Steele, who is doing everything in his power to save the Republican Party, even when there are forces from within that are hell-bent in destroying it. I, more than any other candidate here tonight, have worked with a lot of these different constituencies, and I know the best way to approach them and invite them to join our big tent. We are the party of the big tent. We just need to show them that we are. I can serve as a role model. I can help grow our base by reaching out to those voters who have not been doing so traditionally. It is not about changing the message. It's about explaining to them what our conservative values are. It is true that we don't currently have a Ronald Reagan to lead us, but we can still follow his example. We must first reform our party, just like Reagan did not so very long ago. We must refocus our identity and recommit our conservative values that we so deeply believe in. If we are to make long-lasting change in this country, we must first take the Republican Party back. We don't just do this by winning an election against Murphy. We must also embrace those fundamental values and elect leaders who are not ashamed of those conservative values that we hold. That leader, and I know I can bring our country back. I can help. We have a lot of young people who are starting to come up, and I know that we can take our country back. I hope that I can count on your support for May 18th. Please visit my website. I have a lot of information in the back and also on the website on the actual issues. I just wanted to deviate my speech today because I think this is a message that we all need to hear as we look forward to taking back our country. God bless you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.